Leaders who share their knowledge for the betterment of the industry. The most followed, retweeted, and liked mortgage professionals. Most connected mortgage professionals. Brought to you by Remen Wholesale.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of National Mortgage Professionals 50 Most Connected Mortgage Pros. For Mortgage News Network, I'm your host, Rick Grant, and with me today is John G. Stevens. He's Vice President of Cornerstone Mortgage Group. He's the immediate past president of NAMB, and he's one of the 50 most connected pros in the mortgage industry. John, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I've got to admit, I'm incredibly geeked out to be on here. It's quite a humbling experience to be recognized as one of the 50 most. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for having me be a part of it. And like I said, I'm a little enamored by the celebrity interviewing me today. So thank you.
Well, we're really glad to have you, John, because I know what you know about social is going to help all of our viewers today. And before we get started, I want to mention that today's program is brought to you by Remen Wholesale. Now, John, you've been in this business for a while now, and you're very familiar with all the traditional marketing methods that we all grew up with. Why social? Why is that important now?
You know, really what it comes down to is this. The majority of Americans, the vast majority, use social media in one form or another. And because of that, you need to be where your clients are. Back in the day when it was sending them, a flyer in the mail, you should have been doing that. Now it's all about social media and the fact that that's where people see the product, that's where they learn about the product. And in this case, the product is us and the loans. So we need to be present on a daily basis on social media.
Very good, John. But sometimes some of us are a little too present, right? We get into Facebook or we get onto LinkedIn, and before we know it, we've spent a lot of time. How do you integrate that into your day?
Really, it's like everything else out there. One thing I try to do is read a book every single day, right? But if I decided to read the entire book, I wouldn't get any work done, and then I wouldn't be able to bring home money to my family. Social media, as some of you are aware, is one of the most addicting things out there. It's actually more addicting than most drugs. So what I do to ensure that I don't spend too much time on there is I give myself an hour. If you can do everything you need to do within that hour, so you can create posts and put them under future timelines, you can create a new post, do a video. I highly recommend doing that, as we're doing here right now. And all that can be done within an hour every single day, whether that's a half hour in the morning, half hour at night, or just an hour in the morning or in the middle of the day. Don't spend more time than that, and you'll have a great social media work balance.
Very good. Now, in a second, I'm going to ask you about how to maximize the ROI on that hour you spend on social every day. But first, I want to talk to you about NAMB. Now, you're immediate past president, but when you were president, you really got them started using social media. Talk to us about the impact that's had on your organization.
It's been absolutely fantastic, and I'd be hesitant to take any claim or any glory on that one. It was because of my great board of directors and obviously our amazing staff. We went out and we hired a new PR firm, and they went through and they took over our social media for us. And really what it was is we realized that we needed to emphasize and get out to our clients, which are the loan originators in the United States. And so once again, the vast majority of Americans are on social media. Then that means their association, the NAMB, needs to be on social media. And so we made a concerted effort to make sure that what we are teaching, what we are offering, and what we have done is available, easily accessible as well on social media.
And what a success story that's been. Your membership is growing like crazy. Well done, John. Now, ROI, how are they going to get the most out of the time they spend on social? What's your best tips?
Really, the first thing you need to make sure you do, one, is be present on social media. You can't get an ROI of something you don't do. And so make sure you're on there. Once again, don't do more than an hour a day. The second thing you need to make sure you do is that whatever you're sharing is relevant to the people who follow you. If you are out there and you're like, I'm John G. Stevens, I do mortgages, and then an hour later, by the way, did you know I'm John G. Stevens and I do mortgages? And then an hour later, you continue and continue and continue. Well, the problem with that, they don't want to hear about mortgages every hour of the day. But you know what they do want to hear about? They want to hear about your family. They want to hear about where you're traveling or what you're doing. One thing I found out is that my followers really, really love animals, specifically dogs. And so you'll notice I mix in a lot of posts talking about dogs in history. I mix in posts talking about my own pets and animals. They're part of our family, right? I almost said our children. And speaking of that, I actually do mix in a lot of posts about my family and my children and my wife. And then I'll mix in a post twice a week I'll mix in something about work. Because just like real life, if you are constantly calling everybody and talking about work, then you're a card-carrying member of the NFL. No friends left, right? So you don't want that card. You want to talk with them about things that relates to them. So within that hour, what I like to do is I'll go through, and obviously somebody says, hey, anybody know a great loan officer? I'd like to private message them. And I also put a message on their board because it's all about social media, not private media, right? And so, hey, by the way, I'd love to help you. Been doing this for how many years, so on and so forth. So make sure you're social there. Then at the same time, I also like to go through and see any new realtor postings. And then I'll reach out to my friends and say, hey, by the way, if any of your clients need help with a loan, I would love to help them. And then I spend a little bit of time finding some funny posts. I find some neat quotes, things like that. Because once again, I'm only going to talk about business twice a week. And I'll usually mix that in on a Tuesday, maybe a Thursday, Friday, because people want to know you, like you, love you. Because if they do that, then they trust you. And you'll find your ROI from social media goes up because people use those people they trust. And they won't shop you, they won't go elsewhere because they already know you. And another thing I like to do on social media is when you're talking with a client, I really like to go check out their social media page because it gets me their most relevant information. And I can say during a meeting or during a conversation on the phone, by the way, I noticed your daughter had a fantastic recital. Way to go on winning first place. Or how was that delicious dinner you had last night? A lot of my friends like to post pictures of their food. So just really staying on top of your game. And the other piece I would say during that hour, when you're on social media, we all say, well, everybody knows I do loans, right? Everybody knows what I do for a living, but they forget. So utilizing social media keeps you relevant, keeps you back in front of them, because I hope nobody here watching this, or myself included, has ever had someone say, I know John does loans, I don't want to use him. And if they don't use you, it's because they just don't remember. And so we have to take that and understand that. So we have to stay relevant. We have to stay on top of our game. Make those posts. If they know you, if they see you, they'll use you.
Some great advice today from John G. Stevens. He's the Vice President at Cornerstone Mortgage Group and one of the 50 most connected pros in our industry. John, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks also to our sponsor, Redmond Wholesale, and all of you for watching. Until next time, I'm Rick Grant. This is Mortgage News Network.